Was there cheating in the ancient Olympic Games? Yes, absolutely. And I suspect there'll be one type of cheating which could possibly surprise you. Before any of the events started, the athletes, the officials, and even relatives, male relatives of the athletes would be asked to swear an oath to effectively not cheat. So straight away, if you're being asked to swear not to do something, it's probably happening. And you could have seen it as happened because from the beginning of around the 4th century BC, fines that have been levied against cheats were being used to build bronze statues of Zeus. And these often name the individuals, what happened, and a little corrective motto to basically not cheat again. I suspect you've probably worked out the major way that cheating took place at Olympia, and that was bribery, good old-fashioned bribery. And in fact, this was something that paid for those early statues. We have an account of a boxer who effectively got 3 opponents to throw the fight. So he was fined, and those other 3 boxers as well. And it also happened to a pentathlete who convinced some fellow athletes in the same event to underperform. But it wasn't just athletes, it could also be judges. So we have an account of 2 judges being fined because they'd called an outcome of a foot race incorrectly. There'd been 3 judges who'd obviously worked out who crossed the line first, and apparently this went to appeal after 2 of them said it went for a particular runner, and they were found to have called it incorrectly. Now, it might be they accidentally got it wrong, but presumably as they were fined, it was probably proven otherwise. But there was a type of cheating which you might be surprised by, and this involved changing your residency, or effectively changing where you came from. Because remember, Greek city-states, very, very competitive. And at Olympia, fame was won not only by the athlete or individual competing, but also by where they came from. So you had a lot of city-states very, very interested in getting one over on the other through the various games there. And so we have an instance in the 5th century BC of a chap called Astylos. And Astylos came from Croton, which was a Greek colony in southern Italy. And in fact, he won 3 consecutive games or 3 consecutive events in the running at Olympia. However, the first one, he has himself down as being from Croton, but the last 2, he's from Syracuse. And that's because basically Hieron, who was a tyrant who you may have heard of me talking about on my mini-series on ancient Sicily on the Ancient History Hound podcast, he effectively bribed him. And he said, why don't you say you're from Syracuse and win us glory? Which is what happened. And people back in Croton didn't take it too well, which you can only expect that they wouldn't. And they took his house and turned it into a prison, and also demolished a statue there. Presumably that statue celebrated his first victory at Olympia, where he had claimed to have been from Croton before moving house and changing citizenship. If you want to hear more about this kind of thing, don't forget I did an episode on the Ancient History Hound podcast all about the ancient Olympics, more on how they developed, how they evolved, where they came from, and how they changed. Because another thing about the ancient Olympics is sometimes we have a very fixed idea of it, and it did change quite a bit over the centuries. Anyway, so there we go. Cheating in the ancient Olympics.